So this is my 2016 Model X P90D, and for those of you that don't know, this is one of the first Model X's that rolled out of the Tesla factory here in Fremont, California. I actually live up north in the East Bay. For those of you that are joining my channel new, this is going to be a full exterior and interior review. We'll probably do the interior review in another video, but I wanted to give you guys a full exterior review. What makes this one special and unique is the fact that this car is a 2016. We've got over 80,000 miles on the car. Just about, I think it's actually just slightly under 80,000 miles, but almost right at 80,000 miles. I'm gonna walk you through the full exterior in this video, the different things that we've had to do to keep this car up to date and top performance peak, and the different elements that our family has enjoyed this car. So we actually got this car back in 2016, as I mentioned, and this car was, again, one of the first Model X's that they delivered. The first year of Model X's were a little bit slow. They actually came out in 2015, so about 9 years ago. Again, we've had this car for about 8 years now, and what's also really exciting is about 8,000 miles. So we've only driven about about 10,000 miles a year on the car, and it's done pretty well. As you can kind of see the exterior, we'll get some more in-depth shots for you guys here also. I think as far as major maintenance items, you know, we did get in an accident in this car once, not our fault at all. In fact, I was driving on 680, and unfortunately a driver under the influence banged into the back bumper of my car, so it was pretty minor. Insurance covered the full thing, and they got the whole thing fixed up. It looks brand new. You can't even tell it was ever in an accident, so it was pretty minor. We also had an accident with the car where unfortunately my wife was backing out of the garage with one of the door wings up, and unfortunately tore the door off, and the insurance also covered that for us as well. So brand new door as well, and everything's been working out just perfectly. The car does have a few quirks and items like that we'll certainly highlight, and I'll showcase those for you. But as far as everything is working really, really well. You can see the exterior of the car is still in really good shape, still looks pretty darn good. I think a lot of people consider this one of the best looking Teslas that are out there, and overall I've got to agree with that quite a bit. So the car has been in great shape. Now, we have not PPF'd this car. I kind of wish I did, to be honest with you. You'll see some of the rock chips and dings as I get a little bit closer in. But also please remember that this car is, you know, definitely a solid 8 years old and has over 80,000 miles on it. So the car's done pretty darn good without PPF, but I'll certainly highlight a couple of those key things. Build quality, you know, Tesla's build quality has never been great. I would say it's been okay. This car's build quality similar to that, but again, no major issues at all. You know, it looks really good, everything like that. The only thing we've had to really significantly change has been the tires themselves. But let's go ahead and take a look at the car. So you can see, getting in detail here, you can see a little few of the rock dings here and there. So that obviously if we had PPF, it would have covered that up quite a bit. The front part of the car has got a number of little markings on it, but again, no big hassle of anything. Looks like I got a leaf embedded in here, so might as well take that out since I'm here. And so you can see how well the car is done. Overall, it's done a pretty good job of the overall exterior. Now, we've taken this car on many road trips. It's done really well. Back then, it was only, I think, a 90 kilowatt battery, which hence P90D. The P stood for the performance model, and the 90, I think, is the battery size, and the D basically means dual motor, so all-wheel drive. Essentially, there's a motor on the front axle as well as the rear axle, and that's kind of how they do that numbering or naming convention for these cars. So overall, been doing really well. So let's get down into some of the more specifics. So as you can see here, the rims, not too much of curb rash. We got one little ding up here, but overall, a couple here we actually had fixed at one point, but overall the wheels have looked pretty good. We do have them, you can see, nicely armor-alled up. Brakes need to be a little bit cleaned more and inside the wheel well, but overall looking pretty good. We have changed these tires out a number of times, I think 2 or 3 times, so about every 20,000 miles or so we've had to change these miles, maybe a little bit, or tires maybe a little bit more. The plastic rimming around the car has kind of faded and worn, but we have done a pretty good job of keeping it up to date with armor-alling it, and it does sometimes snap out in key areas here where you just have to kind of push it or snap it back in, and it will seal itself nicely. This is, since it's the original Tesla, has the older autopilot, the first generation of autopilot, which essentially means that the primary cameras are right here behind the rear view mirror, and there's also a radar system as well that it uses for not only parking but also autopilot, and it's always done that pretty well. The autopilot in this car is a lower version. Again, the first version of autopilot, so it does not work nearly as good as full self-driving that I have in my newer 2021 Model S, and that car works considerably better when it comes to autopilot. So overall, pretty good. My family size is myself, my wife, 2 kids. One kid is 15. My other kid is 13, and then we also have a dog, so it kind of gives you an idea of the size and the amount of people. When we're doing the internal review, I'll go over that more specifically. Another thing to mention that's probably important is when this car first came out on the market, it was actually very expensive. This car was about $140,000 and very expensive. It was brand new, one of the first electric cars that actually could go a decent amount of range. I think when we first got this car brand new, it would go about 260 miles, which was pretty good for a 90 kilowatt battery, given that the size and the weight of the car. So overall, did really well. Today, 8 years later, 80,000 miles later, the car battery will only go up to about 230 miles. And it does charge slightly slower than the newer ones, so it will not take advantage of the full 250 kilowatt superchargers, or even those super fast ones now that are closer to 350 kilowatt hours. It still will charge slightly over about 150 kilowatts, so it still does fine, just slower at the charging. One of the best things about this car is it came with lifetime free supercharging, and so that's fantastic, and that will remain with the car no matter where or who it's sold to, which is really fantastic. So that's something nice. In fact, Tesla has some incentives right now if we ever did want to trade this car in and get a brand new one, that they will continue to give us the free supercharging on the next car as well if we did want to turn that in. And that's a nice little promotion. We've actually thought about that, because now that the battery has degraded a bit, it's a little bit harder to go on road trips. I think, if you're going to road trip a Tesla, ideally it's better to have a Tesla that will go, in the 330 mile range. It's just a lot better for road trips. It seems like it's more of the sweet spot and a nice balance to road trips in general. So overall, we've really enjoyed the car quite a bit. I'll just get a little bit closer so you can see more of the details, but everything's working well. These Model X's have, overall they have power seats. Oh, it looks like I left the key over here, so let me grab the key real quick so I can show you just how the car functions. It did come with a fob key like this, if you're familiar with this. This car key is interactive. As you walk closer to it, you can see the lights came on. You'll see the door will open for me. You can open and shut the side doors here as well. And then you can open the front by hitting this, or open the rear by hitting this button as well. It's a nice little fob, fits right in your pocket, but you can see it's all labeled nicely, really nice. And then there's a very simple battery you can replace with that, so pretty easy going. So as we get closer to the car, you can see the door popped out for me automatically as I walk closer to it, but overall it's pretty easy to use. It does shut automatically too, so the moment you step into the car and hit the brake pedal, the door will shut automatically for you. So that easy. You can also open up the wing doors. As you can see, it lifts up automatically, and it does have a sensor on top of the door here, where if you are in your garage, it's not going to hit anything in your garage. It does have a sensor, and obviously it's not going to hit anyone that might be standing outside the door, because there is a sensor to help detect that. You do still need to be careful though. I mean, it is definitely has a lot more sensor capability for people, but you just still need to be careful, just as you would with any kind of car door that's out there. So we're not going to be doing the full interior yet, but I just wanted to highlight a couple things. Overall, it's a gorgeous car. To shut these doors, you just hit this button right here, or you can hit something on the fob key that I was holding. But yeah, overall, this rim got a little more damage. You can see curb rash here, but we tried to fix that up as best as possible. It's kind of funny that I'm talking about rim damage when that's probably the worst problems we've really had with the car. So all the sensors still work on the car. You can see the car is still in really good shape. A couple little dings here and there, a lot of scratches. This piece here has hit a couple different things. You can see right here a couple little scratches here, but overall good. We did get a trailer hitch to actually put bikes on. One thing that's kind of difficult with Model X's, unfortunately, is that because you have these amazing doors, you can't really put a bike rack on the roof, and something we didn't even think about when we got the car. And but if you go biking with your family, that can be a big deal to not be able to put a bike rack up there, because as you know, the doors are going to open up and you can't really put a rack on top of there. So no racks there. The only way to really get a rack or a storage unit is to actually put a trailer hitch, and then get one of those bike racks that kind of harps up, and then you can set your bikes right there. I'm sure you guys have seen those on the road. So that's really the only way to do it. The diffuser and everything still intact, nothing's falling apart. Believe it or not, the plastic pieces on the car, which you would expect to really fall apart and not do as well, they're all working fine. We haven't had any problems with the plastic pieces for the most part. It's been really good. So overall, here's the car. There's the P90D, as I mentioned. The other side of the car, which has been doing really good, and you can see the rims here also looking really good. Doors, a little dirty. Down here, of course, we've gotten some rock dings. Again, if I got PPF to cover the car, we would have been a lot safer with that. You can see over here just a couple little marks here and there. So yeah, I mean, look, normal, if you don't get PPF, this kind of thing's gonna happen. So overall, it's done okay. One thing here, this has been kind of with the car since new, but you snap it back into place. But unfortunately, this has snapped back out. This is just something in their manufacturing that I think they fixed now. That's not as bad. My wife primarily drives this car now, and she's done a great job of keeping it, in good shape, I think, overall, given that, again, it's an 8-year-old car. We did get a rock ding here, but believe it or not, that rock little crack ding, we've had in here on this car pretty much the first year we got the car. We got that rock ding, and it hasn't done a darn thing. It's It's actually has it. I was worried it was going to crack and go all the way across, but for those of you that don't know the Model X, this windshield goes all the way up to about here. So it's pretty magnificent inside when you're using this car, how amazing the windshield is to see things. And especially going on road trips, like if you go to Yosemite or you go to major areas, of being able to see through that windshield, it's almost like being in a helicopter in a way, but seeing through this amazing windshield is just incredible. It's fantastic to have that capability. So overall, we really like it quite a bit. So so overall, this exterior, the mirrors do fold in. When I don't have the car fob with me in my pocket, they'll fold in. The car will automatically lock as you walk away from the car. So that's kind of what it does. Overall, there is a frunk to put things in, and we'll certainly highlight that in our next video review where we do the interior of the car, and you'll be able to see those details. Overall, again, I think we were going to talk about earlier, I was mentioning the price. So yeah, this car was very expensive, about $140. Again, I kind of talked about the battery. I did check for you guys, if you want to see here, I did spec a brand new Model X plaid version. So let's take a look at that. You can see in the plaid version here, fully loaded with full self-driving. You can see that the plaid version goes for about $114,000 now, fully loaded. The battery certainly goes a bit further than my older legacy car, 2016 model, so quite a bit better. And if you were to get the other Model X, the non-plaid version, which is probably the one I would get, honestly, the non-plaid version is fast enough, still has all the exact same options on the car, and that one is gonna set you back just slightly under $100,000. But that is the one I would get because it has a lot of really good options on it. All right, so we are going to end this exterior review. I think the car's held up very nicely. Hopefully you agree as well. If you have any questions on this car, put a comment down below. I'm more than happy to answer any questions for you. If you're shopping for a brand new one, the deals are much better now. And if you're shopping for a used one, just so you know, I did check the value of this car just online, and these cars that have about 80,000 miles on them, the P90D Model X, which is going to look just like this depending on the quality and the shape the car's been in, but these cars are going for really around the low 40,000s right now. Again, the battery's degraded a bit, but overall the car's amazing. And I will tell you that if you just mostly drive around city, dropping kids off at school or dropping kids off at practice, picking up kids from practice, and you're going back and forth all day, this is one of the best cars for that. Given that it's an electric car, it'll just run, and you can charge it at home, and you've got no problems at all driving this car and looking pretty good while you're doing it. So overall, please give me a thumbs up on the video. Please go ahead and give me or subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and stay tuned because we're going to do an interior review on the car, which I think is going to be a lot more detailed, so you guys can kind of see the differences and how well a number of those items have held up. Take a look at the video in the corner here and go ahead and click on that so you can see the interior view. Thanks a lot for your time today, guys. I really appreciate it. Have a great week.